What's Darren Waller's deal?
He would like a new deal, and the two sides have had conversations about this.
Denzel.
I'm a little nervous up here for some reason.
The other night at the, you're seeking a new contract here going into the last year.
I knew it was coming. To answer that question, my agent Ron Butler's handling that. I just want to play football. That's it. I was waiting on it. That's why I'm sweating. I was waiting on it.
You did.
Somewhat similar situation for Denzel Perryman, also brought in under the old regime, has a year left, and really played extremely well.
Denzel Perryman and Darren Waller are seeking a new contract according to Ian Rapoport, and you see Denzel Perryman there, very nervous during the press conference and sweating a lot, mentioning that he's nervous, and obviously was about this upcoming contract. And Denzel Perryman, you did a great job, but you gotta play it more smooth. You never mentioned that you're nervous. If I told you guys how nervous I was right now, I think people would stop watching the show immediately. Either way, these guys are seeking a new contract, and it's really interesting to think about what they could feasibly make. What is the market value of these two players? And we know that this has been coming for some time. Obviously, Darren Waller, that's been in the news for a long amount of time, and Denzel Perryman would clearly seek a new contract because he signed a 2-year deal with the Carolina Panthers before being traded to the Raiders, and he only has 1 year left, which is this current year. The Raiders, however, have about $19 million in cap space, maybe 21 after they've released Dallin Levitt, who had a tender and was about $2.6 million. Now, what can they feasibly make? What is the market value of linebackers in the NFL for Denzel Perryman? And obviously, what's the market value for Darren Waller? And we know for a fact they both want new deals. The question is, where will they get the new deal? Will they get the new deal with the Raiders, or will they get it elsewhere? Because we know for a fact they will get a new deal. They're great players, and Denzel Perryman just went to the Pro Bowl last year. He led the NFL into several categories and had his best statistical season of his career. Really, when you look at the amount of tackles that Denzel Perryman was able to make last year, coupled with the low amount of missed tackles, it's actually really insane. And it's a really good season he had last year, coming in and playing under Gus Bradley. Basically, the question is, does Patrick Graham value Denzel Perryman as much as Gus Bradley? Come on, we know in the background that Gus Bradley was the motor behind trading for Denzel Perryman. He wanted his guy who he had worked with before with the Chargers. Now, Denzel Perryman had a 2-year deal at, $6 million, about $3 million a year. So what could he potentially make? What do linebackers in the NFL make these days who are very talented and really are compensated for their talents by their team? Now, Deion Jones of the Atlanta Falcons, CJ Mosley of the Jets top the list of the priciest linebackers. Deion Jones, really speedy, athletic guy, great in coverage, $20 million a year. And then you got Tremaine Edmonds of the Buffalo Bills, along with Eric Kendricks of the Minnesota Vikings, and Darius Leonard, who I would say Raiders fans are more familiar as an opponent because we play the Colts all the time, $11 million a year there. So basically, when you look at the age, it is really how you think about what to pay somebody. And for the linebacker position, yes, it does still skew youth like most positions in the NFL. However, Denzel Perryman's an interesting case because he is actually more lean and arguably more speedy and athletic, adapting to the modern NFL when coverage is demanded much more by linebackers. He adjusted. He lost a lot of weight before the 2021 season. Not a lot of weight, but just, weight, and also became more lean. And it showed in coverage. He had a great year in coverage last year as well. He's interesting because he's 30 years old. He almost has a more athletic body for the linebacker position than he did when he was in his mid-20s, right? When he was more of a thumper linebacker in the NFL. That's what you thought of him. And actually, he used to be the prototype when you talk about linebackers in the past. Like, which linebackers were valuable in the past? You used to say when you're in conversations, linebackers like Denzel Perryman used to be like the prototype of a linebacker just like 5 years ago. Now it's all athletic guys. You got people like Divine Diablo switching from safety to linebacker, and then he totally just switched his body, which is actually pretty funny. So I estimate you probably walk away with giving this guy $10 million a year. Who knows? This is just me looking at the market right now, looking at what people have been paid, and we know, and this is something I should have said in the beginning, we know that the Raiders are leading the NFL in ticket revenue. The Raiders are making a ton of money, and Allegiant Stadium is actually doing much better than they originally projected. They originally sat down and were like, all right, it's probably going to make this amount of money. It's exceeding expectations. So Mark Davis, you would think, has maybe the liquidity, maybe the cash to pay some of these guys give them a bonus. Because if you're somebody like Denzel Perryman, you're going to take a higher bonus. You're willing to have lower cap as long as you get a higher bonus. You're getting more immediate cash, more guaranteed cash. It's coming much more quickly, and it helps your team build around you so you can be a part of a Super Bowl roster. So what would our guy Darren Waller make? What can this guy make? When you're looking at Spotrac, and I've been using Spotrac.com right now, I'm going to give them credit and give a plug just because I'm using their website. Right here, $15.5 million is the average annual salary that you can expect for somebody like Darren Waller. Check out my video. I did a hype video about him and a film about his really rise in the Raiders because I was really interested in this history, and I was really interested in what Darren Waller was as a football player. Because oftentimes when you hear about Darren Waller and when you talk about Darren Waller, it is about a great story, which is the substance stuff, which is really interesting and amazing that he overcame that. But just from a football standpoint, I just wanted to see what was his background and what led to him being who he is today, which is, I do think the number one tight end in the NFL. And even Spotrac's projections and whatnot say this about him. And they compare the contracts of George Kittle and Travis Kelce, how old they were when they signed and how much money they made. And Travis Kelce was 30 years old, about the same age as Darren Waller. But Darren Waller is similar to Denzel Perryman, but actually has a lot more leverage in this respect. And here's what I'm going to say. He doesn't have much wear and tear on his body. The guy was drafted in 2015, really didn't play in games at all, besides a little bit of, training camp, obviously practicing. He was part of practice squads and, you got preseason, there were some reps there, but he really didn't play until 2009 to 2019. In 2018, he was given a few opportunities, and I show this in my video, but 2019 is really the only time he's played a full season in the NFL. The first time, and then 2020 second time, and last year had the injury problems, but really there's only 2 years on him. Travis Kelce signed this deal when he's 30. Darren Waller right now, he's not really like 30 in a way in terms of NFL dealing with the problems, dealing with the wear and tear. Just straight up, it's dark, but you got to talk about it. He's more closer to a 25-year-old to be completely honest with where he's at in terms of how many years could this guy play? How many years does he want to play in the NFL? This guy can play 5 more years easily, straight up. In my opinion, just from looking at what other people have done, how long they've been able to go, how talented they are, compare them to Darren Waller, the fact that he doesn't have a crazy, really long injury history besides with substances, and, really only played 2.5, maybe 3 full seasons in the NFL so far. That's pretty intense. And then you got David Njoku, 25 years old, getting the bag, getting $14 million a year. So I really just don't see a situation where the Raiders walk out of here paying less than $15 million a year. And if they do, then maybe there's a lot of guaranteed money behind it. There has to be maybe some incentives. Maybe Waller just really wants to stay in Vegas too. That is one thing. We always forget that these people are regular people. Look, I hate moving. I've thought about moving in certain places and I just don't do it because do I really want to, sell all this crap, do all these things? No. And when you're talking about $15 million and you can get offered maybe $14 million to stay in a state that does not have state taxes, right? Low taxes, income tax, right? State income tax, cheap cost of living, and you don't have to move. You can stay in the same spot and maybe you take $1 million less. Oh, okay. That is still a good portion of your income. That is still almost 10% of your income, but you're saving money. Let's just cut to the chase. You're saving money, right? So maybe 14 million, maybe there's a way. But Denzel Perryman and Darren Waller, when you think about it, 14 million, 10 million, maybe this is going to be tricky for the Raiders who really only have $21 million right here. And you got to keep some extra cash in case you got to sign somebody in case of an emergency, unless you have the right depth there to get everything covered. But this is going to be a tricky situation for the Raiders, and this is going to be tough for them. And hopefully they're able to work out a deal with both of these people. The fact that this is reported by Ian Rapoport, to me says that a lot of people are eyeing this situation. To me, this says that a lot of teams are curious. Well, is Darren Waller, for sure getting a new deal with the Raiders? I'm another team, and I'm very curious about that, and I'll pick up the phone. Is Denzel Perryman getting his deal with the Raiders? Is he happy there? Because if not, I'm about to pick up the phone. A lot of teams are interested in this situation. A lot of them are curious about it, and that's why you got it on national news right now, man. Ian Rapoport is talking about it. So hopefully everything works out. We're going to be covering every single story about the Raiders. Like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Raiders Rundown for more Raiders content. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.